I'm late, and I feel like the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland because I hate being late. I really do, and I was trying to get this video out earlier, but guys, my kids are on spring break right now, and my best friend was in town on Sunday and Monday. He left on Tuesday, and there just wasn't any time to read all the books, to record the video, to edit the video, so I'm a day late, and I apologize. But guys, it's New Comic Book Day today, so let's get excited, and let's talk about all the books that I'm really excited for in today's video. What is going on, comic book fans? Welcome back to the channel, and you know what time it is. It is time for another Wednesday pull list, which is your hype video for New Comic Book Day. Guys, we're gonna cover all the best covers that I was able to find, all the best reads, and then we're gonna cover all the books that are on my pull list in the not top 3, but the books you gotta see, and that's gonna be it. So let's not waste any more time because I'm late and I don't have a lot of time to edit this video today. So let's go ahead and check out my pull list. Now, as you guys can see, it's another gigantic week. It almost covers the whole entire ultra widescreen monitor, but you guys can't see what books those are, so let me go and throw them up on screen right now. Guys, there are a total of 22 books on my pull list. Last week was 24, this week is 22. And guys, of that pull list, there are 2 new number ones, 4 DC books, 5 Marvel, and you're gonna hear this right, 13 independent books that are on my pull list this week. Now, sadly, I think I missed out on 3 or 4 books this week. I just didn't have time. I ran out of time. I was behind on a couple books, and I didn't read every single book that you see up on screen right now, so those books will not be on the top 3 list. But guys, there are no books on the chopping block from the books that I did read, so we can move right over into my cover lover picks. Alright guys, there's a good mix of ratio books and open order covers this week, and the first one up is a ratio book, but it's absolutely gorgeous. This cover is so freaking amazing. Guys, I'm talking about The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 48, the 1:25 ratio variant done by Francisco Mobili. I love this freaking cover. It's already in my cart on mycomicshop.com. They're selling it for $8.99 because today's New Comic Book Day. I know the prices for these 1:25s, but guys, this cover is so good. So good. And only $8.99? Hell freaking yeah. Now guys, next up is Detective Comics issue number 1084, the cover B variant done by Javier Fernandez. I've loved this cover so much as I saw it on previews, and it's gotten better because they finalized the art. It is so gorgeous. It's like the epitome of Batman flying through Gotham. It is amazing. Guys, next up is Daredevil issue number 8, the variant cover done by J. Scott Campbell. This might be one of my favorite non-female J. Scott Campbell covers. It is so freaking good. Now guys, next up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 150, the cover B and the 1:50 ratio variant, which is a virgin, and it's also black and white. But guys, this cover is done by Kevin Eastman and Sophia Campbell, and this is like, you know, the end of an era, an end of a huge run for Sophia Campbell. And yeah, Jason Aaron is kicking off a new #1 series with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but this is such a cool cover in my opinion. But guys, there is another cool cover for this book. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 150. Now this is the IDW web store variant done by Vincenzo Federici. This is really cool in my opinion. We got a really great rendition of all of our favorite characters. We got April and all 4 turtles, and then we got, oh, my nose is itching. Then the other turtles that are popular in the series. It is such a great cover, and I really like it. I also like the white and the blue on top. I don't know. This is such a great cover. Guys, next up is X-Men Forever issue number 2 with the 1:25 ratio variant done by Arthur Adams. I told you guys this was going to be super popular. I checked mycomicshop.com at 6:45 a.m. this morning because I go to the gym at 5. And yeah, this was already sold out. Sold out before I can really even think about it because I'm like lifting weights in here and I'm like, oh my god, it's already sold out. So maybe they might find some more and put them on later in the day. I would definitely check out throughout the day, but most likely they're going to be over ratio price. But keep an eye on mycomicshop.com and, you know, check the other ones, big ones like Midtown Comics. You can check Gmart, but Gmart usually really jacks up the price on books that are really popular. So I don't know. Look around, see if you can find it online somewhere, but I'm sure almost all of them are sold out already. But this cover cover is so good. Now guys, next up is one of my favorite covers for this week. This is Wolverine Madripoor Knights issue number 3, or is it Madripoor? I don't know how to pronounce it. But guys, this is the Stormbreakers variant done by Nick Klein, featuring Wolverine with his claws out, wearing a Punk jacket where on the back it says, "Punk is dead. I killed it." This cover is so good, so good. I also have this in my shopping cart as well because I'm not reading Wolverine Madripoor Knights, so I obviously wasn't pulling it, but I gotta get this cover. This cover is so good. Now the final cover that I want to share with you guys is Pine and Merrimack issue number 4 with the cover D, which is the 1:20 Virgin ratio variant done by Ariel Ovaletti. This cover is so good. It is so good. If you're not reading the series, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you because I've been raving about this series ever since I read issue number 1, and it is one of the best series out right now. But this cover is so good. All right, guys, those are my cover lover picks for this week. Let's go ahead and move over to the next section, which is the new number 1 that I think you guys have to be excited about. Before we dive into that new number 1, I just gotta ask you guys, if you guys are watching this video and you're liking this video and you guys have not smashed the like button just yet, do me a favor. Smash that like button. It helps out the channel so much. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out that new number 1. All right, guys, this new number 1 I'm actually pretty freaking excited about because a bunch of the comic book publishers are diving into these characters from the 80s that, we loved. Because I was born in 1980 and I grew up with the Thundercats. I grew up with the G.I. Joes and Transformers, and they're bringing them back with a vengeance, and a lot of those stories are so freaking good. But there are some of those outside characters, like Space Ghost is coming out, I believe, next week, or is it this week? I think it might be next week. But there's this other character that came out in a movie, I think in the early 90s, and I loved it as a kid. I loved it so much. And they're bringing out a new number 1 comic for this from one of my favorite writers, and it is Dick Tracy issue number 1. Now this is coming from the writer of Michael Morici and has art by Alex Segura. Is Alex Segura like the brother of the comedian with the last name Segura? If you guys know, guys, let me know down in the comments below. But this also has art by Gerardo Borges, and he is such a great artist. But guys, Michael Morici is one of my favorite artists. I'll put some of the books that he's written up on screen right now. But guys, let me go ahead and read the synopsis for this book. A new era for the iconic detective starts here. From best-selling and acclaimed authors Alex Segura and Michael Morici, as an all-new noir-infused chapter in Dick Tracy's legacy kicks off with superstar artist Gerardo Borges. In the aftermath of World War II, the country stands frozen, waiting for the next shoe to drop. In the city, a brutal murderer draws the attention of rising star detective Dick Tracy, who soon discovers the bloodshed is just the beginning of a complicated web that threatens to ensnare everything he cares about. Blending the elements of Dick Tracy's world, including his iconic villains, supporting cast, and unforgettable watch radio, with a hard-boiled and realistic take, Dick Tracy number 1 kicks off a fresh and modern take on the iconic detective that remains true to his rich history. That just sounds so freaking good. Now, there are a bunch of variant covers and a bunch of exclusive variants. And yeah, they're pretty good, but I really just like this cover A. I think it's fantastic. It definitely epitomizes who Dick Tracy is. And I just like mystery stories, and that's why I like Pine and Merrimack so much, because it's a murder mystery as well. And yeah, this could just be really freaking good. Guys, let me know down in the comments below, did you see the original Dick Tracy movies? Like, I think it was back in the 1990s when you were a kid. Were you ensnared by it as well? Guys, let me know down in the comments below. But guys, seriously, pick this book up. All right, guys, that is the new number 1 that I think you guys have to be excited about. Let's go ahead and move over to the top 3 books that I think you guys have to be picking up this week because the stories are so freaking good. All right, guys, before we dive into the number 3 book, I just gotta let you guys know there were 6 books that could have been on this list. I could have had 6. That's right, 6 total books. This week was an amazing week to read comics, and I even missed 4 books. Maybe those were amazing as well, and we could have 10 top 3 books. But I took like half an hour, which I know a half an hour doesn't seem like a lot of time, but I really thought about the 6 books that I wanted to put on the list, and I whittled it down to 3. Part of the reasons why I put some of these on this list because I haven't talked about them before, and I like to get books out in front of you guys that I maybe haven't mentioned before in the past. But when I get to the not top 3, I'll make sure I point out the other 3 books that were just absolutely amazing as well. But let's go ahead and dive into this number 3 book. And guys, I'm talking about The Forged, issue number 7. Now, this is coming from the writers of Greg Rucka and Eric Trotman. It has art by Mike Henderson. Guys, this book is so good, like so good. It's like, we're on issue number 7, so we've obviously had 6 books to read. But guys, these are prestige format books that are extra long. I believe each book is like 48 pages long, and it is so good. So let me give you a brief synopsis to catch you up to speed with where we are right now. So The Forged is set off like way off into the future. We humans can travel space. We use this special slipstream to be able to travel from point A to point B. And we are following a group of mech warriors that are piloted by these badass women. They are like absolutely incredibly badass Marines, I guess you could call them, women. And in the first story arc, they were sent down to this planet, but then it turns out that they were being set up, but they were able to fight their way out of this setup. And then we meet this alien race. And this alien race comes out of the slipstream that they normally use to travel, which is super dangerous because if this alien race is living in the slipstream that they travel, that means that they could like wipe us out without an issue, because when we travel in that slipstream, the alien race can kill us. So they fight off the alien race, they defeat them, and then they travel back to their homeworld. And their homeworld is really cool. So the first story arc was them battling the alien race and being set up. And then the second story arc was basically taking some time on this homeworld and like setting up their whole political structure, which was really freaking cool and interesting. There are precogs that can kind of like see the future, and they are very high level in the society. And then there's an empress who is even like higher level, and then there's a spy organization. It's all super cool. But then we got all these stories with each one of the Forged characters, and we got to know them a little bit more, a little more intimately. And it was fantastic. Guys, it was so good. The mini stories that we got in issues number 4, 5, and 6 for all the girls really set it up in a way that you really care about each of them now. You want them to succeed. And in issue number 6, the spy organization kind of decided, I should say a piece of the spy organization wanted to kill all the Forged for some reason. And the women are just so badass. They just like completely, saw this coming and defeated all the assassins, and it was so freaking cool. And yeah, the next story arc is going to be the women being sent off into space to fight the alien race again and try to defeat them, while the good part of the spy organization is doing some research and figuring out why part of it wanted to kill the Forged. And yeah, there's just so much going on, but it's told so well. And since it's a prestige format book, you get lots of time to be able to tell these stories, but it still reads super fast. The dialogue is amazing. The pacing is great. The artwork by Mike Henderson is great. I hope I did a good job of setting this up for you guys. I know you guys would have to read a lot to get caught up because, like I said, these are exercise books, but it's totally worth it. The art is fantastic. The story is fantastic. The pacing, everything. Everything is great. This book is a must-read in my opinion, and that is why The Forged is in the number 3 spot. But that's in the number 3. What could be in the number 2 spot? All right, guys, in the number 2 spot is the 7th issue of a different book, because in the number 3 spot, we have the 7th issue of The Forged. But in the number 2 spot, we have the 7th issue of Gods from Marvel Comics. Guys, this book is so good. This is coming from the writer of Jonathan Hickman. It has art by Valerio Schitti. Now, how do I tell you guys about this book without ruining anything? Because it's really difficult. So there's basically 3 characters that we're following throughout this story. We have Wynn, who is the avatar for the powers that be, which is basically everything magical within the universe. And then we get Akio, who is the 97th centaur or centaur of the natural order of things. And they are all science-based. They believe in like mathematics and science and all that stuff. So you get 2 opposing things. You get science and magic. And these characters are very powerful and they're super cool. They used to be married and then they get divorced because for Akio to become the agent of the natural order of things, she had to separate herself from magic. And that was in like the first issue. It was so good. But then we met Maya. Now Maya is this struggling sorceress trying to achieve her full potential. But in issue number 5, we found out that Akio actually stepped in and messed with her future, and she could never achieve her full potential. And when we found that out, it was like heart-wrenching. It's like, wait, what? And Win ended up telling Maya, and Maya was crushed. And in issue number 6, actually, Akio goes on this super long quest to basically revert things to how they used to be, so that way Maya could achieve her full potential. But then she goes through all these tests during that journey, and we met characters that we've seen earlier in the book that are super powerful, and it was really freaking cool. And then at the end, she had to do this big sacrifice, and it was so good. Able to, you know, fulfill her promise to Maya, even though she didn't really promise, she promised herself that she would go through with it. But it was so good. It was great storytelling. It was so good. The way they're setting up this world is very complex, but if you're in it and you really enjoy it, it's so good. And one thing I love, this comic book does not have like the full page of text like all the X-Men books did from Jonathan Hickman. It's just a full story that goes, and it's so jam-packed with so much information that it's so great for all the characters because they're building them up and you're getting like these little nuggets of who they are as people. And it's just so good. It is so good. And the art by Valerio Schiti is fantastic. Every once in a while in the book, it's not fantastic, but 95% of it is just so gorgeous to look at. This is a fantastic, but it's a must read. It's in the number 2 spot, and I've probably talked about it for like 3 minutes at this point. I gotta move on. But guys, this book is featuring characters within the Marvel Universe, new characters that are so cool. You gotta read this book. But guys, that's the number 2 book. Oh, let's talk about variant covers. There's nothing good. Even the 1 in 25 is really not that great. There's a depiction of Win on the cover that is so weird. But yeah, stick with cover A. Cover A is fantastic. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is the number 1 book that I think you guys have to be reading this week because the story was the best. Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this book, guys. This book is so good. In the number 1 spot this week is Pine in Merrimack, issue number 4. Now, this is coming from the writer of Kyle Starks and art by Frank Galan. Oh, this book is so good. Now, I read issue number 3 yesterday, and issue number 3 just like continued this amazing storytelling by Kyle Starks. I haven't read everything about Kyle Starks. I've read a few things. I didn't love them when I read them. But guys, Pine in Merrimack, I am telling you, it is the best book on shelves right now. If you like a murder mystery / love story, which doesn't sound like a real thing, but it is, because it is so good. So, Pine in Merrimack follows a detective and an MMA fighter that are married, and they are just deeply, madly in love. And I think the part of the reason why I love this story so much is because I am deeply, madly in love with my wife. And their relationship kind of mimics how Stephanie and I are. It truly does. They just truly do everything for each other. They will help each other do anything. And the husband is like literally head over heels for his wife. And it's so adorable and amazing. And I love it so much. But also the story that they're telling is so engaging. There's these murders happening on this island. And the detective decides to go out and take this case to find this missing girl, and it turns out there's so much more. So much more. Is it a cult? Is it a sex thing? Is it just like, you know, a serial killer? I don't want to ruin anything for you, but it's so good. But it's set up in this very lighthearted in a way, because they keep on adding a little comedic element, so that way it doesn't get too heavy, which is fantastic. Because, you know, James Tynion IV, it's heavy, man. Like, his stories like really like weigh on you. Scott Snyder too, because Dark Spaces Dungeon is a great example. That story is just, it's heavy. It weighs on you after you read it. It's like, oh my god, it's so creepy and disgusting. But this one right here, there's so many funny elements that even though there are people dying and there are horrible things happening, the characters are keeping it lighthearted enough. It's so good. And the art by Frank Galan is like amazing. It is so good. His character depictions sometimes are so great. There was a panel in issue number 3 where Merrimack is like surprised by something, and he's got these big eyes and he's got this like funny mask on. It is so good, and it was just so good of catching this character's like reaction to this moment, and it was like, it was real. It felt really real, and it was so good. I love this book. It is seriously my favorite book to pick up and read every single month. I mean, Ultimate Spider-Man is great, and the previous 2 books were absolutely fantastic, but I was grinning ear to ear reading this book. And the artwork, again, is so good. So good. I did a terrible job of explaining that book, and I apologize. I really wish I was better at like describing this book. I really wish I was like the guy over at Pop Culture Philosophers, because he's so great at describing stories. Even Chris over at Lost in Comics is like a million times better than I am. But just know that the art and storytelling in this book is hands down some of the best right now. It is so good. And it's a short miniseries. I believe it's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. So yeah, we only got like 2 issues left after this, which is so sad. And it is something you guys have to be reading. Read it. Read this book. Promise me you'll read this book. Now, the variant covers on this, they're fine. The cover B is like some weird thing, which hints at kind of what the story is about. Is it a cult? Is it a gang? I don't know. Check out cover B. Kind of hints at it. And then there is the cover C, which is the 1-in-10 virgin ratio variant. And then there's that 1-in-20 done by Ariel. I forgot her last name. But this cover is so good. So good. Also in my cart right now over at mycomicshop.com. I believe it's for $10 or something like that. I don't know. It's so good. I don't care. It's so good. Read this book. But guys, that is the top 3 list this week. Let's go ahead and move over to the next section, which is the not top 3, but the books you gotta see. All right, guys, it is time to dive into all the books that are on my pull list that did not make the top 3 list. I'm going to give you little nuggets of information and why the book is either good or not great, because all these stories that I did read this week were actually really good. So let's go ahead and dive into this list. And the first book up is The Avengers, issue number 13, coming from the great writer of Jed MacKay. This book is starting to finally feel like a Jed MacKay book. And I say that because his Moon Knight book is so good. His Doctor Strange book is so good. And the start of Avengers really didn't feel like him. But in this last issue, the story that he started building in issue number 1 really all built up to this great moment in issue number 12. It was fantastic. I'm excited to see where issue number 13 goes. Now, next up is Batman the Brave and the Bold, issue number 12. I didn't get a chance to read this, so I can't really say much about it, except for all the previous issues. They've been fantastic. So good. Anthology book, so there's a bunch of different stories in it, but they all feature around Batman-type characters or Bat family characters, and they're so good. Read Batman Brave and the Bold, because you won't be disappointed. Next up is Blade, issue number 10. Issue number 9 was actually really good. I liked it a lot. This story has had big highs and low lows, but issue number 9 was fantastic, and he's going to go up against the big bad, I believe, in issue number 10, and I hope it may be wrapping up that story arc and starting something new, but this story has actually been pretty good overall. Next up, The Bloody Dozen, A Tale of the Shrouded College, issue number 5. Issue number 4 was really fun. Really fun. This world that Charles Soule is building is actually pretty freaking cool. Guys, next up, Daredevil, issue number 8. Issue number 7 was a lot better. Aaron Kuder was back as the main artist on the book. I think he was on issue number 6 as well. And when he's on the book, even if the story writing isn't that great, the story just feels so much better. But in issue number 7, Daredevil fought Wolverine, which was possessed by the evil thing of pride, because he's fighting the 7 deadly sins, basically. They are possessing people around the Marvel Universe, and Daredevil is having to fight the evilness out of them. So he fought Pride, and it was a good issue. Again, the art by Aaron Kuder is just so good. Next up, Dawn Runner, issue number 2. Now, this is coming from the writer of Rom V. It was a good setup issue. A lot to take in, a lot to set up. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. So I'm excited to see where the story is going to go. The artwork was pretty good. It's your basic, kaiju type story. You have big mechs fighting big alien creatures. And that's really all you need to know, but the main character they're setting up is pretty cool. Now, next up is Detective Comics, issue number 1084. That's one of the books I did not read, so I'm not going to say anything else about that. Next up is Duke, issue number 5. Issue number 4 was a ton of fun. The Baroness and Duke decided to team up and then fight their way out of the jail cell, and now they're on the run, and they came into a base, and they were able to get all these really cool vehicles and like run away, and it was a ton of fun. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go, and at the end of issue number 4 there's another big bad that popped up. It is just so much fun. Now guys, next up is Green Arrow, issue number 11. Another really great book coming from Joshua Williamson. He is so good. A lot of his stories aren't amazing, but they're always good. And that is something that we don't get a lot. You don't just get solid stories. In this one, we're 11 issues in. This was only supposed to be a 6-issue mini. We're already on issue number 11. I hope this continues to go because I'm really enjoying the Arrow family. It feels like a Batman book because all the Arrow characters are there and it's so good. Now guys, next up is another book that I did not read. If you find this, I'm already dead. I didn't read issue number 2. I can't find it. So that means I probably missed it on previews. So I'm going to order it and pick it up so that I have 2 and 3 for when issue number 4 comes out. Next up is the other book I did not read, which is Man's Best, issue number 1. I got the ash can, but I forgot to order issue number 1. Issue number 2 is coming already. So again, that's another book that I need to order so that way I can have issues number 1 and 2 and read them before issue number 3 comes out. Next up, Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue number 14. Issue number 13 was so good. It reminded me how good this series is. Jason Aaron, I forgot who the artists are because they jump between multiple artists in an issue when they travel back in time or during the present. But it's so good. There's been some really high highs with this book, some medium lows, but this book has been good pretty much the whole entire time. We're getting close to the end. I believe 16 issues is the end. The final is going to be the finale. And yeah, issue number 13 was so good. I'm really excited to read 14. Next up, The Penguin, issue number 9. Issue number 8 was good. Not great. Good. But this series from Tom King featuring the Penguin has been really, really good. Definitely read this if you like all the Bat families. We're getting like history from the Penguin and how his relationship works with Batman. And we're just getting like this whole awesome story of the Penguin who like basically went down to his lowest low and he left Gotham. Now he's working his way back, building up his empire, and he's gonna try to take it back from his kids. And there was a big death in the end of issue number 8, which was pretty cool. And I don't know, this book is definitely a must read in my opinion, especially coming from Tom King. Great book. Next up, Rare Flavors, issue number 5. This was one of the books that was almost made the top 3 list. I haven't loved every single issue, but with Ron V, sometimes he builds up and then it gets better and better and better. And issue number 4 was one of those stories that was just better. It was so good. We got really great character moments between the two characters, the Demon and the Mo. Mo is the cinematographer that the Demon hired to make this story about food, and then Mo finds out that he is a demon who eats people. And there's a moment in this issue that is just so good between the two, and it's great. Next up, Something is Killing the Children, issue number 36. I'm so sad that there was such a huge hiatus between issue number 35 and 36 because issue number 35 was the end of a story arc, and I had to wait so long because I don't read an issue until the next issue comes out. So I was waiting to read the end of that story arc for so long, and it ended pretty well. Not fantastically, but pretty well. And I believe in the next 4 issues, so 36, 37, 38, 39, they're going to be single stories of Erica's past within the House of Slaughter. So before issue number 1 of the series, we're going to get stories from before that. So that's a pretty cool idea, and it's probably going to give the team enough time to make up the next story for Erica Slaughter to continue on in issue number 40. That's my guess, at least. And do some research on your own, make sure that is actually what's happening. But I know the next few stories are going to be one-shots. All right, guys, next up is Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 4, another one of the books that could have made the top 3 list. This story is so good. I'm not going to ramble on about it. You guys know to read this book. It is so good. Jonathan Hickman. He's writing it. Marco Gicchetto was the artist in the first 3 books. Then we're getting a really cool artist on the next 2 or 3 books, and Gicchetto's back after that. But it is a must-read. Must-read. Amazing story about Spider-Man. Guys, next up is Universal Monsters, Creatures from the Black Lagoon Lives, issue number 1. This is coming from Dan Waiters and Ron V, and I'm really excited about it. I liked the Dracula story from James Tynion IV, or Tynion, and yeah, I'm really excited for this because I like Dan Waiters, and I really like Ron V. And the final book is another book that almost made the top 3 list, which is World Tree, issue number 9. Issue number 8 was so good. So good. If you're not reading it, you should. It's a kind of like a dystopian tale because there is the internet and the undernet, and the undernet is where like basically evil lives, and if it gets out, it will poison people and make them do horrible things, and the undernet has got out. But this team of people who originally found the undernet and kind of like hid it away has come back together, and they're doing their best to shut down the undernet. That's basically the story. There's so much more to it, but the undernet is creepy, disgusting. It's like horror, like true horror, and it's great. It's a great story. It really is. There are some cool variant covers for this issue right here, but overall, just pick up this book because it's a great horror book. And that's it. Those are all the books. That is the end of the Not Top 3, but the books you gotta see. And that's the end of this video. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up and find out who won last week's giveaway. Alright guys, we are at the end of today's video, and that means it's time to find out who won last week's video. But before we do that, I just want to say, anyone who's watched from the beginning of this video all the way to this point right here, I just gotta let you guys know, you guys are legends. You guys are so amazing. Now guys, look down real quick. Have you guys smashed that like button just yet? If you haven't, do me a favor and smash that like button. It helps the channel truly out so much. Now one last thing, if you guys watch that video and you guys enjoy comic book content but you're not subscribed, I just gotta say, what are you doing? Get yourself subscribed, hit that bell for notifications, and smash that like button. Alright guys, let's go ahead and cut up close and find out who won last week's giveaway. Alright guys, you know how we do this. First we gotta go to my YouTube page, and then we go to videos, and then we go to last week's video, which is right here. We're gonna go and pause that so you guys don't have to hear my annoying voice. But then we're gonna copy the URL, and we're gonna go to this website right here, and we're gonna paste the URL and then hit fetch. But not anything goes, no, we always use the keyword filter, and because we wanna look for that hashtag I love comic books. And let's see how many of you guys left a comment on last week's video. 55 of you have entries into this week's giveaway. Now let's go ahead and find out who won last week's giveaway. And 3, 2, 1, it is Phil Ailing 4398. Phil, congratulations! Congratulations, Phil, on winning last week's giveaway. Now, what I need you to do is to go over to Instagram and slide into our DMs. Our handle is right here, and give us your address, and I will get some books shipped out to you at some point. I am behind now 4 weeks on getting comic books out, and I promise you guys I'm going to try to do it over the weekend, but I also have a very big weekend. It's my 1-year anniversary. It's my company party. I work in a company that's fully remote, and we're getting together in the first time in almost 3 years this weekend. So there's a lot going on, but I'm going to try to package up the books this weekend so I can get them out next week, if not by the end of next week. So guys, please have some patience with me. My life is just super busy right now, but I will get these winnings out to everyone who has won a book over the last month. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so this video is coming out late. That means my final order card video is going to be not coming out tomorrow. It'll be coming out on Friday. So stay tuned for my final order cutoff video on Friday. But that's going to be it for this week. Only 2 videos, and most likely only 2 videos next week as well, because my kids' spring break is ultra long. They have Monday and Tuesday off of next week as well, which is just nuts. But guys, that's going to do it for this week. I hope you guys have a great new comic book day today, and I hope you guys still check out this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.